Good evening, friends, and welcome to another installment of the greatest literature in the universe. The program where we explore the most esteemed themes of human brilliance. Tonight, breathtaking scripture comes from the fingers of Dr. Jordan B. Peterson. Maps of meaning, the architecture of belief. Throughout his brilliant opus is an unparalleled cataloguing of the construction of meaning through mythology. A man often unfairly maligned with accusations of misogyny, we have selected a unique passage to dispel those myths and solidify him as the greatest author since Moses. Our reading today comes from page 162, in which the great doctor describes the archetype of the great mother and parlays it into a vibrant description of one of his infamous dreams. Quote, the great mother, in her negative guise, is the force that induces the child to cry in the absence of her parents. She is the branches that clothe the night traveler in the depths of the forest. She is the terrible force that motivates the commission of atrocity, planned rape, and painful slaughter during the waging of war. She is aggression without the inhibition of fear and guilt, sexuality in the absence of responsibility, dominance without compassion, greed without empathy. She is the Freudian id, unconscious, contaminated with the unknown, and mortal terror, and that flies in the corpse of a kitten. She is everything that jumps in the night, that scratches and bites, that screeches and howls. She is the paralyzing dismay, horror and the screams that accompany madness. The great mother aborts children, and is the dead fetus, breeds pestilence, and is the plague. She makes of the skull something gruesome, compelling, and is all skulls herself. To unveil hers to risk a madness, to gaze over the abyss, to lose the way, to remember the repressed trauma. She is the molester of children, the golem, boogeyman, the monster of the swamp, the rotting cadaverous zombie who threatens the living. She is the progenitor of the devil, the strange son of chaos. She is the serpent, the Eve, the temptress. She is the femme fatale, the insects in the ointment, the hidden cancer, the chronic sickness, the plague of locusts, the cause of drought, the poisoned water. She uses erotic pleasure as bait, oh Lord, to keep the world alive and breeding.
I dreamt I saw my maternal grandmother sitting by the bank of a swimming pool, which was also a river. In real life, she had been the victim of an Alzheimer's disease and had regressed to a semi-conscious state. In the dream as well, she had lost her capacity for self-control. Her genital region was exposed dimly. It had the appearance of a thick mat of hair. She was stroking herself. Absent-mindedly, she walked over to me with a handful of pubic hair compacted into something resembling a large artist's paintbrush. She pushed this at my face. I raised my arm several times to deflect her hand. Finally, unwilling to hurt her or interfere with her any further, I let her have her way. She stroked my face with the brush gently and said like a child, "Isn't it soft?" I looked at her ruined face and said, "Yes, Grandma, it's soft."
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And no one else, because there are only two genders. As timeless as the many canons Dr. Jordan B. Peterson explores in his masterwork. Truly, his masterpiece is one for the ages. I hope this has put to bed any lingering thoughts that he might even harbor the slightest bigotry towards women or a lurid temptation to be pleasured by members of his family. I am Sir Carlos Benjamin, and this is another reading of the greatest literature in the universe.
I let her have her way. She stroked my face with the brush, gently, and said like a child, "Isn't it soft?" I looked at her ruined face and said, "Yes, Grandma, it's soft." Page 164 of Maps of Meaning. $70 in your local bookstores now, if anyone at home is interested.
Hey, what the fuck? That just kept getting worse.
I know. I mean, I wonder if he's.
I love that he had to let me frame this so that you know that this isn't a weird dream. My grandmother had Alzheimer's disease, and so in the dream she was probably just having an Alzheimer's related memory problem that made her use her pubic hair paintbrush on her grandson's face. And look, I didn't want to hurt her, so I just kind of just stood back and let that one happen.
And agreed with its consistency. It was soft, apparently.
Yeah, one thing I might say, like if my grandma did that to me, one thing I might say is, no, please stop.
Yeah.
I don't like it, Grandma. This sucks for me, and please stop doing it. Like,
this is the symbol of the Great Mother. I'm not sure if you can see it on. This is from page 163 of Maps of Meaning. And if anyone is at all, a little bit dubious about whether or not he harbors any kind of resentment towards women, I'll read you a passage. The Great Mother, in her negative guise, is the force that induces the child to cry in the absence of her parents. She is the branches that clawed the night traveler in the depths of the forest. She is the terrible force that motivates the commission of atrocity, planned rape, and painful slaughter. During the waging of war, she is aggression, without inhibition, fear, or guilt, sexuality in the absence of responsibility, dominance without compassion, greed without empathy. She is the Freudian id, unconscious, contaminated with the unknown, the mortal terror that flies in the corpse of a kitten. She is everything that jumps in the night, that scratches and bites and screeches and howls. She is the paralyzing dismay, horror, and the screams that accompany madness. The Great Mother aborts children. May horror is the dead fetus, breeds pestilence, and is the plague. She makes the skull something gruesome, compelling, and is all skulls herself. To unveil her is to risk madness, to gaze over the abyss, to lose the way, and to remember repressed trauma. She is the molester of children, the golem, the boogeyman, the monster in the swamp, the rotting cadaverous zombie who threatens the living. She is the progenitor of the devil, the strange son of chaos. She is the serpent, the Eve, the temptress. She is the femme fatale, the insect in the ointment, the hidden cancer. The hidden cancer. Oh, wow. The chronic sickness, the plague of locusts, and the case of drought. I could go on. This goes on for pages, but
yeah. Oofa doofa. The fellas know what I'm talking about.
Where my boys out, right?
Women be chaos.
Yeah. Women be dead kittens. Come on.
Oofa doofa doofa.
Yeah. I know.
What strikes me about that, like, if okay, let's just put aside just it's a good thing he's a Jungian and not a Freudian, because I think Freud would have some stuff to say about that.
Yeah, and we're coming up to that, by the way.
But why do you have to give so many examples?
And such descriptive ones.
Yeah.
Like, how long does that chapter take you? How many Courvoisiers did you go through?
Well, I'm also scared of alligators, so there's an alligator in the bog.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the men are reason and building, and women are, chaos and darkness, and from that comes creativity and new life, but also it must be controlled in order for there to be balance in the world. And it's like,
just some subtle notes of misogyny.
But but the thing is, it's just enough plausible deniability.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Like,
that's the best thing about making utter nonsense like this, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can basically derive anything you want from this diagram. You
yeah,
know,
it's a Rorschach test.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
every single one of these. Uh,
What's great though is people were took me to task for saying that. I consistently pointed out that Peterson said that women are, chaos is feminine,
yes.
and that's pretty weird.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, but chaos isn't necessarily negative. Like chaos is rebirth and creation. Like, okay, yeah, no, he definitely doesn't think it's negative, which is why he named his most popular book, 12 Rules for Life, an antidote to chaos. Like, definitely thinks it's a good thing that we need in the world. That's